Senior engineers have stopped grinding. They aren't staying late at the office, they aren't answering your emails at midnight, and somehow they are getting promoted faster than the people who do. This breaks every single rule you were taught about success. You were raised on a specific lie. You were told that if you want to win, you have to outwork everyone else. But the most successful people in tech right now aren't outworking you, they are out leveraging you. You feel it too, don't you? That sinking feeling when you log off at 6 p.m. while your coworker stays green on Slack until 9. You worry you're falling behind. You worry that looking busy is half the job. And for a long time, you were absolutely right. The old world ran on what I call sweat currency. If you were moving boxes in a warehouse, moving more boxes took more sweat. Pain equaled value. Suffering was the receipt you showed your boss to prove you earned your paycheck. But you don't move boxes anymore. You move ideas. And in the idea economy, grinding isn't just unnecessary. It is actually a sign of incompetence. Here is the brutal truth nobody tells junior employees. Your boss doesn't care how hard you work. They care about what you ship. We are witnessing the great decoupling of effort and value. For a century, the formula was simple. More hours equaled more output. Today, that formula is broken, and the people clinging to it are playing a game they cannot win. They are playing the status game. They optimize for perceived effort. They send the 2 a.m. email to prove dedication. They sigh loudly when the boss walks by so everyone knows how stressed they are. They wear burnout like a badge of honor because they think it buys them safety. But the senior engineers, the ones you think are lazy, are playing the value game. They optimize for leverage. They don't care if they look busy, because their results are undeniable. They push one button and 1,000 things happen, while the grinder is manually typing 1,000 responses. And the data backs this up in ways that even surprised the researchers at Harvard. Consultants using AI finish tasks 25% faster. That part isn't surprising. Here is what is. They produced results that were 40% higher quality. Let that sink in for a second. The lazy route didn't just save time, it produced objectively better work. This is the quality-speed paradox, and it destroys the moral foundation of hustle culture. We are raised to believe that suffering is a prerequisite for quality. If it didn't hurt, it wasn't worth it. This study proves that suffering is now just friction. It is wasted energy. The people grinding until midnight produced worse work than the people who used the tool and went home at 5. Pain is no longer a proxy for value. Pain is a red flag. In fact, pain is becoming a red flag that you don't know how to use the tools available to you. So why does it feel so wrong to do less? Why do you feel guilty leaving on time? Because you are fighting decades of conditioning. You have internalized the idea of sweat currency. You think your value is tied to your struggle. But the market is undergoing hyperinflation on sweat. It is becoming worthless. The senior engineer knows this. They have made what I call the leverage switch. This is the moment you stop asking, "How do I do this?" and start asking, "How do I get this done?" It sounds like a subtle semantic shift. It is actually a career-defining transformation. The "how do I do this" mindset makes you a laborer. It traps you in the execution loop where you are the bottleneck. The "how do I get this done" mindset makes you an architect. It forces you to look for systems. It forces you to look for tools. It forces you to automate the boring stuff so you can focus on the high-value stuff. Consider the math of the productivity cliff. Stanford researchers found that output per hour falls sharply after 50 hours a week. Grinding past that point isn't heroic. It is mathematically useless. The person working 70 hours is often producing the exact same output as the person working 50. But they are making more mistakes. They are creating technical debt that someone else has to fix next week. So when you see that senior engineer leaving early, they aren't slacking. They are protecting their cognitive asset. They know that a tired brain makes bad decisions. And in high-level work, one bad decision can cost millions. Rest isn't a reward for them. It is a performance requirement. They view their energy like a battery. If they drain it to zero today, they start tomorrow at a deficit. The grinder is always operating in debt. The strategist is always operating from a surplus. But there is a trap here that catches a lot of smart people. Because there is a difference between strategic laziness and actual laziness. Strategic laziness is active. It requires high agency. You have to build the system that replaces you. Actual laziness is passive. It creates a deficit. The winners in this new economy are aggressively lazy. They work incredibly hard, once. They work hard to build the automation. They work hard to train the AI. They work hard to set up the workflow. And then they step back and let the system run. This is the difference between carrying buckets of water and building a pipeline. The bucket carrier works hard every single day. The pipeline builder works hard for a month, and then they never carry a bucket again. Most people are too busy carrying buckets to stop and build the pipe. They are addicted to the immediate dopamine of doing work. They feel productive because they are tired, but tiredness is not a metric of success. Impact is the only metric that matters. So how do you actually make this switch without getting fired? You start with a no-reply audit. Identify 3 types of messages you send that don't actually move the needle. Stop sending them. See if anyone notices. Spoiler alert, they won't. Because 60% of employee time is spent on work about work. That is a Microsoft statistic, not a guess. Communicating about work, searching for information about work, scheduling meetings to talk about work. This is performative busyness. It is theater designed to soothe your anxiety. The senior engineer opts out of the theater. They decline the meeting without an agenda. They ignore the email that doesn't require action. They protect their deep work time with ruthless aggression. And they use the 15-minute rule. If a digital task takes longer than 15 minutes, they pause. They spend 5 minutes asking if there is a way to automate it. They ask ChatGPT to write the script. They find the template. They refuse to do manual labor in a digital age. Because every time they do a task manually, they are missing an opportunity to build a system that solves it forever. But here is where it gets interesting. Because grinding doesn't just burn you out, it actually caps your career. This is the invisible ceiling nobody warns you about. When you are known as the person who works hard, you get more work. You become the go-to person for execution. You become the reliable mule. And mules don't get promoted to strategy. Mules get loaded with more packs until they collapse. The people who get promoted are the ones who have bandwidth. They have the mental space to think about the future. They have the time to build relationships. They have the energy to solve novel problems. You cannot solve novel problems when you are drowning in email. You cannot think strategically when you are exhausted. Bandwidth is the ultimate status symbol in the modern economy. Having time to think is a competitive advantage. So by grinding, you are actually training your organization to treat you as a laborer. You are signaling that your time is cheap. You are signaling that you are a resource to be consumed, not a leader to be followed. The senior engineer signals the opposite. They signal that their time is expensive. They signal that their energy is reserved for high-leverage problems, and the organization respects them for it. This requires a fundamental identity shift. You have to divorce your self-worth from your struggle. We are entering an era where, "How long did this take you?" is a rude question. It is an irrelevant question. The only question that remains is it good? If you can produce excellence in an hour, you deserve the reward of the other 7 hours. You bought that time back with your skill. You bought it back with your system. It belongs to you. Do not give it back to the company out of guilt. Do not fill it with busy work to appease your insecurity. Use it to learn. Use it to rest. Use it to build the next pipeline. The grinder is stuck in a vicious cycle. They work hard, get tired, stop learning, and fall behind. The automator is in a virtuous cycle. They build systems, save time, use that time to learn new tools, and get even further ahead. The gap between those who leverage systems and those who provide labor is widening every single day. You have to choose which side of that gap you want to stand on. Bill Gates once said something that everyone thought was a joke. He said, "I choose a lazy person to do a hard job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it." For decades, that was just a funny quote people put on mugs. Today, it is the fundamental law of the modern economy. It is the survival manual for the AI age. The hard way is no longer the honorable way. It is the obsolete way. You can be busy, or you can be effective, but you can no longer be both. The senior engineers figured this out years ago. That's why they stopped grinding, and that's why they are winning. It's time you joined them. If you want to understand the systems behind this shift, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. And I want to hear from you in the comments. What is the one lazy habit that has actually made you more productive? Share your thoughts below.